How I use business credit cards to make money and travel the world for free. Do you see others traveling around the world in first class and you want to know how you can do it too? Are you curious about business credit cards and the points they give, but you aren't sure where to get started? If you want to travel in style for free, you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to show you how I use business credit cards to make money and travel the world for free. Hey, CourtneyLSanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time life and business coach as well as wife and mom. Wear all the hats and do all the things. And in today's video, I'm talking about one of my new favorite subjects, which is business credit cards and the amazing travel points that they give you. And this is so fitting because as I'm recording this, I actually just finished a whirlwind tour around the world. But my husband and I got to go to both Dubai and Tel Aviv on business class tickets for Emirates. So beautiful business class section. I mean, chef prepared meals right while we're in the air. I was like, oh, this is like being in a 5-star hotel just in this little cubby. I love it. We got to fly like that for free based on the points that I've earned from using credit cards in my business. And so I wanted to do this video because I think, again, there's just so many misnomers out there. I have a lot of videos lately around money and a lot of the misconceptions that we're taught. And I get it, because for just your average person who does not have a business, they might want to be careful when it comes to debt, right? Like, we're in a student loan debt crisis issue, and you don't want to rack up credit card debt for like new designer clothes or Beyonce tickets or like silly things that oftentimes people who are not business owners often kind of find themselves in. But if you are a business owner and you're a good business owner, I find that too many of us, and I was one of them, are scared to dive into the world of business credit cards because we've heard horror stories on the personal side, right? Like, oh, credit card debt is bad and you shouldn't be getting into that. And we miss out on all these opportunities. And so I've been building business credit, I'd say, for the last 2 years, which is a shame because I've been in business a lot longer than that, and I could have gotten started right from the beginning. And business credit is a whole nother thing. Business credit cards are just a subset of business credit, but I wish I would have known about business credit and business credit cards when I first got started, but better late than never. I figured it out right around the pandemic because, we weren't going anywhere, we couldn't travel. And I was like, as soon as this pandemic is over, I want to travel, and I want to travel for free. So that's when I started my business credit card journey and was able to build up a lot of these points. So if you see people doing this, you're, following people on Instagram, you're like, how are they going to all these crazy places, all these exotic places? And you want to know how you can do it for yourself. Even if you're a brand new business, I'm going to tell you that in this video. All right, the first step you need to master in order to use business credit cards in order to travel the world for free is have a profitable business, right? Surprise, surprise. So everything that I'm gonna be sharing obviously presupposes, one, that you are a business person or that you have started a business. So even if your business is not profitable yet, if you're just starting a business, I do recommend leveraging business credit for that. But you do need to have a profitable business idea, because the whole idea is that you're going to make money in your business and then pay off the business credit card. So this is not a situation where I'm telling you to go out and get business credit cards, rack them up, and then have no intention of paying them off. Obviously, the idea is to run a profitable and sound business. So if you already have a profitable business, like, what are you doing? You should have had a business credit card like ages ago. Like, go out and get 1 or 2 or 3, like go out and get some now. But even if you're brand new and you're starting a business, you're gonna have a lot of expenses, which we're gonna talk about. Don't wait until you're getting your business going. Apply for business credit right now. You can do that right now, even though you are a brand new business, and then use your business credit cards to pay for those expenses that you need to start up your business. And then as you start making money in your business, then you pay it back. So having a profitable business is like, I don't even say it's step 1, it's like step 0 for even getting into this. But if you're not sure, like maybe you are just getting started in your business and you're like, how do I know if my idea is profitable? I teach you that for free in my 5-day challenge called the Nail Your Niche Challenge. Now this is something new that I'm doing, so I can't promise that it'll be free, in the future, but as of the time of this recording, it is free, even though I teach paid content that I typically teach just my clients. But for 5 days, it's a live challenge where I walk you through the steps of coming up with a profitable niche. And so if you want to sign up for those, we open them every so often during the year. Click the link below to see if there's spots available. Even though it's free, we restrict and limit the amount of spots because we have options where people can upgrade and get direct coaching and feedback on their niche from me live on Zoom. And I want to make sure that everyone who participates participates is able to get the attention that they need for participating in the challenge. So if you click the link below and you see that there are some spots are open, rush, go ahead and sign up to get on the next round of the Nail Your Niche Challenge, but it'll help you come up with a profitable business idea. All right, so the second thing that you need in order to use business credit cards to travel the world for free is to make sure that you are using the credit cards for business expenses. So this is why I'm saying, even if you're just starting up, it's still really important that you use this. Don't wait until, your business is off and running to then get into business credit cards. You can use business credit cards even for startup funds. So my sister, for instance, she's interested in getting into Airbnb, and so she's working on her credit because she's like, I got my LLC, I want to get a business credit card in my LLC's name, and I want to use that to pay for the expenses associated with furnishing my Airbnb. So even if you have a service business, you're gonna have expenses like marketing expenses. Maybe you wanna pay for some Facebook or Instagram ads. Maybe you wanna pay for a graphic designer to do a logo for you. Maybe you want to invest in some courses or join a mastermind, coaching programs, whatever. You got expenses when you're starting your business. You can use business credit cards for that. And again, you wanna put those expenses on your business credit cards because that's how you rack up the points. So for me, like I said, I've been putting all of my business expenses, and I got quite a few expenses, right? I'm running a 7-figure business. I have, staff, employees, operations, right? Me doing these videos are not free, okay? So, I'm paying for video editing and all of these things. I put as many of the expenses that I can on my business credit cards precisely because it allows me to max out those points, and then I'm able to use those every month towards my travel. So make sure that you are using credit cards for your business expenses. All right, the third thing that you need to do in order to use business credit cards to travel the world for free is you need to choose the right card to put your expenses on. So once you're in the understanding that you're gonna put all of your business expenses on your business credit cards, don't just choose any business credit card, choose the right card that matches the goals that you have, but also matches your expenses. This is how I've been able to really max out my points, and again, be able to travel to the Middle East, Dubai and Tel Aviv, business class on Emirates, because I'm very strategic about what expenses I put where. So I have quite a few business cards, and I do that because not all business cards are the same. Some are really great for travel rewards, some are great for cash back, but also some give you more points for different types of expenses. So for instance, I have one card that gives me more points for travel, for like my phone bill, for shipping. So anytime I need to like ship something at FedEx, or I purchased a new iPhone, I think last year, I bought it on that card because I knew that like cell phone, telecommunications, internet, all of that got multiple points if I paid for it with that card. And so oftentimes these credit cards will tell you, hey, you're gonna get 3x points for everything you spend in this category. So make sure that you are matching the categories up with your expenses. I have other cards that are good for any expense. So I have one card that gives me or two cards actually, that give me 1.5 times cash back on any expense I have, regardless of what the category is. So again, I'm very strategic. I know if I have travel coming up or specific expenses that I'm gonna get 3, 4, 5 times points, I will put only those expenses on that card that matches, and then everything else I'll put on the 1.5 card. I also pay attention to different promotions. For instance, on my personal credit card, I remember Chase was having a promotion where they were giving 13 times points for any purchase you made with Peloton. And I'm like a Peloton junkie, I have a Peloton bike, I love it. So I purchased the Peloton bike deliberately on that card because I knew I was gonna get 13x points. So I know that's for personal, but oftentimes business credit cards will have similar promotions as well. If you're traveling somewhere, if you're shipping something, equipment, if you have to buy cameras, if you have to buy computers. I have a friend that just got a line of credit for a brand new business with Apple, and the Apple store gave her a line of credit in order to purchase laptops that she needs. She's an interior designer and she has an assistant, so they need very high powered machines that can do all the 3D rendering and all of that. She is able to put those on specific Apple cards or whatever, all that equipment, and if the card gives you a certain multiple of points for those expenses, that is how you rack up your points really, really fast. All right, I have more tips where that came from, but first I wanna hear from you. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? Share in the comments below. All right, the fourth thing you need to do to max out your points, and I kind of talked about this in the last point, but you need to choose the right card in terms of rewards. So in the last point, I talked about how you need to choose the right card in terms of one that matches your expenses. So if you only get 5 times points on shipping, but you never ship anything because you have an online business, then you probably shouldn't choose that card, right? So you want to make sure that you are matching the card with your expenses, but also you want to make sure that you are matching the card with the rewards that you want. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I got on this journey at the beginning of 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, because I was like going stir crazy in the house. I couldn't travel anywhere. And so I knew that I really wanted travel rewards. So when I was looking at different credit cards, I avoided cash back cards because I didn't want cash back business cards. And oftentimes you'll see like, ads on TV, oh, I got this credit card and it gives me cash back and I'm able to put those towards my business expenses. If that's the kind of reward that you want, then sure, go after cash back rewards. But this video is about how to travel for free. And I found that if you use cards that are specifically devoted to travel, meaning the bonuses and the rewards that they give you are travel rewards, I find that your points tend to go further with cards that are dedicated to travel rewards versus cards that give you cash back. Because think about it, even if you rack up a lot of cash back, you then have to take that cash and pay full price for your business class or your first class fare. However, if you are using cards that are devoted to giving travel points in the first place, meaning they don't give cash back, but they give you X amount of points with American Airlines or United or Emirates or whatever, I find that your money and your points tend to go further. You end up getting more than what you could get if you paid for that same fare or airline with cash. So I prefer actual travel rewards cards over cashback cards. But even if you are choosing a travel card, you also have to pay attention to the airlines, right? So I have one card that has more like international airlines, British Airways, Emirates, whatever. And then I have another card that gives me points towards, I guess these are international airlines as well, but they do a lot of domestic routes like American Airlines, United, etc. I live in Houston. Houston is a United hub. So I'm looking for credit cards that have United as one of the rewards. If you live in Atlanta, Georgia or Detroit, Michigan, those are Delta hubs. So you want to find cards that match Delta rewards. So this is what I'm saying. Hopefully you see this is like some strategy here, right? You have to be strategic. You want to make sure that you're getting the right card, not just a travel card versus a cashback card, but you want to make sure that the travel that they offer is in line with the airlines that you like to travel on or the hotels that you like to stay, right? If you don't like to stay at Holiday Inns, then don't pick a card with IHG because those are, Holiday Inn type hotels. If you like to stay with Marriott or if you like to stay with Hilton, make sure that you are picking cards that offer those as points because they don't always overlap. Some cards are just for Hilton, American Airlines, etc. Others are for Marriott, United Airlines. So it's kind of like a game of shuffle. You have to be, very strategic with what you're doing, but pay attention and make sure that you are signing up for the right card that's going to give you the right rewards for the right travel that you want to do. All right, the fifth thing that you need to do if you want to travel the world for free on business credit cards is you have to get creative with code shares. So what code share means is that oftentimes airlines will sell the same route for each other, right? So I know British Airways, for instance, code shares with American Airlines. So you wanna get creative with this because you might say, okay, I want to fly, I don't know, to Tokyo, and you're looking at flights on American Airlines and you see, oh, it's gonna cost you whatever, 200,000 points or something like that. Pay attention to who American Airlines code shares with and see if that route is on a different airline. It'll be the same route. Maybe it's just sold via British Airways. And if you log into British Airways, that same flight, like literally the same, pick you up from the same city to the same destination at the same time, like it's literally the same flight, but they're code share partners. They're all selling each other's flights. That's how they keep the flights full. Let's say I'm looking at British Airways, which code shares with American Airlines. I don't know that these routes even exist, so I'm just making this up, but I do know that British Airways does code share with American Airlines. Let's say I'm looking at British Airways. Oftentimes, the points required for the same flight might be a lot lower. Maybe on American Airlines, it's 200,000 points, but on British Airways, it's only 100,000. Again, I just made that up, but that's an example. So you want to look at the routes that you're interested in. Again, look at the points that you have and see, if I have a card that gets me points with United, who does United Airline code share with? can I maybe maximize those points by looking at their code share partners and seeing if I can get the same route, the same flight for less points? It might make the difference between you traveling in economy and traveling in business or even first class. So it makes a really big difference. All right, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Again, as a warning, this all starts with having either a profitable business or a profitable business idea and then getting these business credit cards. And if you need help with coming up with a profitable business idea, I invite you to join me for that free 5-day Nail Your Niche Challenge. Again, can't guarantee that it's gonna be free forever, but if it's free, when you click the link and you see spots available, make sure that you sign up. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you can't wait until my next video, come on over to my Instagram, CourtneyLSanders, where you can get more information just like this, plus the behind the scenes at my life. You can see some of those photos of me in Tel Aviv and Dubai and all these really cool places that I travel with my business credit card points. And if you can't wait for my next post on Instagram, make sure that you are subscribed to my podcast, both on iTunes and Spotify. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.